Welcome back in our third Zoom meeting. And our next topic of discussion is presentation and communication skills. When you start your discussion related to communication and presentation skills, ensure that your words are always understood. And for that, you need to keep the message clear. You have to be prepared. You have to keep the message simple. Be vivid when delivering the message. Be natural. And keep the message concise. And we'll be discussing these points in the coming slides. When you have to talk about communication and presentation skills, ask yourself who, what, how, when, where, and why. These are the key questions which would enhance your ability to communicate effectively. For example, who are you speaking to? What are their interests, presuppositions, and values? What do they share in common with others? How are they unique? So, who is your target audience? You have to be very much careful about it. Second is, what do you wish to communicate? One way of answering this question is to ask yourself about the success criteria, the key success factors which one can have, and how do you know if and when you have successfully communicated what you have in mind? How have you encoded your message? What was actually the message? And obviously, then we'll be concerned with that how your message would be interpreted and decoded. So when we say how can you best convey your message? Language is important here, as are the nonverbal cues discussed earlier. In the previous courses, you might have gone through these details, that nonverbal cues, nonverbal body language, facial expressions, gestures, they play a lot of role in the communication. So you have to see that what language is more appropriate. Choose your words and your nonverbal cues with your audience in mind. Plan a beginning, middle, and end. If time and place allow, consider and prepare audio-visual aids. In association with this discussion, you also need to focus upon when, which means timing is important here. Develop a sense of timing so that your contributions are seen and heard as relevant to the issue or matter at hand. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. It's better to be silent than sing a bad tone. I once read a very interesting quotation, and it said, the art of discussion lies in the fact where to stop, which means that you should be knowing that how much to say, when to say, to whom to say, and what to say. Related to the where and why, it says that what is the physical context of communication in mind. You may have time to visit the room, for example, and rearrange the furniture, check for availability and visibility if you are using audio and visual aids, because the signage, the physical orientation, the aroma, is going to change the context of the message. And when we say why, remember, in order to convert the hearers into listeners, you need to know why they should listen to you and tell them, if necessary, the reason of interaction. What disposes them to listen? That implies that you know yourself why you are speaking to communicate, the value or worth or interest of what you are going to talk about. So the essence of the whole discussion so far related to communication and presentation skills is be concise, be brief, use short words and sentences. Where appropriate, support these with short, easy to understand examples which help demonstrate your message. So let's start with the art of negotiation. First of all, we are looking at the negotiating basics. Negotiation is simply the act of reaching agreement as to how you will move forward. It's the process of communicating back and forth and finally having all parties agree to a solution. The negotiating basics would also include the fact that some people view negotiation as a game they have to win, and the others might say that a negotiation is the opposite to accommodate. This is when one party yields his or her position and original goal, simply agreeing to what the other person wants. So negotiations that aim for mutually satisfying outcomes are often considered as best. These are sometimes called collaborative, integrative, or principled negotiations. Now let's look how emotions are affecting the whole situation. It says that using emotion effectively in negotiation involves understanding the emotions and feelings of the people you are negotiating with to project your influence. So you need high levels of intuition and good influencing skills, which would obviously include the selection of words, the pitch of voice, and the expressions with which you are demonstrating your concerns. There is also a major part coming from the logic. So with logic, you use facts and data to make your case. You can use logic confidently if you have low intuition, but high influencing capability. We can also look at the skill related to bargaining. And it says that bargaining is one of the easiest and most popular methods of negotiation. To bargain effectively, you don't need to have strong influencing skills. However, you do need higher levels of intuition, because it can be costly to use bargaining at the wrong time, such as too soon in a negotiation. So the bargaining obviously can take place in negotiation, but it can come towards the end. Certain times you have to come up with compromise, which is not a very appreciable phenomena, but compromise is considered the least powerful of all the negotiating styles, and it may be all that's available to less skilled negotiators. Now, there are 4 parameters for principled negotiation. The first one is select the people rather than the problem. Then focus on interests, not positions. Generate a variety of possibilities before making a decision. And define objective standards as the criteria for making the decision. And obviously, if we focus on these 4 parameters for principled negotiation, the basis of your negotiation would improve, and you will be more able to find creative solutions to the problems you are trying to solve. Now, coming to the start of the discussion, let's now focus upon some communication skills. The basic definition of communication can be that communication is to get your message across to others clearly and unambiguously. This involves effort from both the sender of the message and the receiver. It is only successful when both the sender and the receiver understand the same information as a result of the communication. There is a risk involved, and that is that communication is a process that can be loaded with error, with messages often misinterpreted by the recipient. When this is not detected, it can cause tremendous confusion, wasted effort, and missed opportunity. And obviously, as a negotiation, we are communicating. In fact, so we have to be careful that how these errors can weaken our effectiveness of negotiation. Let's look at the significance that communication skills, including written and oral presentations and ability to work with others, are the main factors contributing to job. And if ineffective, this inability makes it nearly impossible for us to compete effectively in the workplace and stands in the way of career progression. So we have to be very much clear what to communicate and how to negotiate. If we look at the basic process of communication, there is a sender who is having a message. The message is encoded. The encoded message is transferred through a channel. It reaches to the receiver. The message is decoded and interpreted and perceived. And from there, the feedback comes with the same process. Now the source, as the sender, as a source of message, you need to be clear about why you are communicating and what you want to communicate. The message is the information that you want to communicate. The encoding is the process of transferring the information you want to communicate into a form that can be sent and correctly decoded at the other end. The channel is basically the medium through which messages are conveyed, with verbal including face-to-face meetings, telephone and video conferencing, and written including letters, emails, memos, and reports. The decoding side is just as successful decoding is a skill, so is successful decoding involving, for example, taking the time to read a message carefully or listen actively to it. And being a receiver, the individuals their ideas and feelings that will influence their understanding of your message and their response. So we have to develop the ability to understand others better. For that, let's focus on the Johari window. It was developed by Joseph and Harry. The Johari window is a communication model that can be used to improve understanding between individuals within a team or in a group setting. This window is having 4 pans, which are known as open, blind, hidden, and unknown. The open side is known to yourself and known to others. The blind side is unknown to self but known to others. The hidden perspective is not known to others but known to self. And the unknown side of the life is unknown to self and unknown to others. As the quadrant 1, which is open area, it is talking about what is known by the person about him or herself and is also known by others. The quadrant 2, which is blind area or the blind spot, is linked with what is unknown by the person about himself or herself, but which others know. This can be simple information or can involve deep issues. For example, feelings of inadequacy, incompetence, unworthiness, rejection, which are difficult for individuals to face directly and yet can be seen by others. The quadrant 3 is linked with hidden or avoided area, what the person knows about him or herself that others do not. And quadrant 4 is unknown area, what is unknown by the person about him or herself and is also known by others. Now, the main idea behind this Johari window is the process of enlarging the open quadrant vertically is called self-disclosure, and give and take process between the person and the people he or she interacts with. As information is shared, the boundary with the hidden quadrant moves upwards, and as other people reciprocate, trust tends to build between them. Now, there is another concept related to communication with the 7 C's model. The 7 C's model are composed of, the 7 C's are clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, and courteous. And let's cover them one by one. When we say the communication should be clear, it means when writing or speaking to someone, be clear about your goal or message. What is your purpose in communication with this person? If you are not sure, then your audience won't be sure either. When we say concise, it means when you are concise in your communication, you stick to the point and keep it brief. Your audience doesn't want to read 6 sentences when you could communicate your message in 3. When you say concrete, it means that your message is composed in a way that your audience has a clear picture of what you are telling them. There are details, but not too many. When you say correct, it means your communication is correct if it fits your audience, and correct communication is also error-free communication. When you say coherent, your communication is coherent, it's logical. All points are connected and relevant to the main topic, and the tone and flow of the text is consistent. When we say complete, in a complete message, the audience has everything they need to be informed and applicable to take the action. And obviously, courtesy has got no substitute, and the courteous communication is friendly, open, and honest. There are no hidden insults or passive aggressive tones. You keep your reader's viewpoint in mind and you are empathetic to their needs. We also need to focus upon the body language, facial expressions, body gestures, hand movement. The quick tips we have related to the body language are the correct posture, standing tall with shoulders back, eye contact, solid with a smiling face, gestures with hands and arms, purposeful and deliberate, speech slow and clear, tone of voice moderate to low. The key points we can focus related to body language are: the body language impacts a great deal of how we communicate and can reflect quite accurately what's going on inside us. Body language includes body movements and gestures, posture, muscle tension, eye contact, even people's breathing rate and perspiration. Additionally, the tone of voice, the rate of speech, and the pitch of the voice all add to the words that are being used. So we have just gone through an overview of presentation and communication skills. We have talked about negotiations. We have seen the 7 C's of communication. We have seen that how we can improve the ways with which we can interact with others, keeping in mind the basic context of human psychology. That basically concludes our today's session. Inshallah, see you next time.